Petrie, welcome to the Social Angle Podcast.
I feel so welcome. Listen, Vin, huge fans. Am honored to be on the podcast. So let's go. Let's just jump right in.
Let's do this. Well, how are you doing, first of all, and what's new in Tennessee? What's going on down there? How's the weather?
Weather's great. I'm doing great. It's spring has sprung, which means one of the things I love about living in Tennessee, and I've lived in the North, I've lived in Texas. We get 4 true seasons here. So we're in actual spring, which means for the next 6 to 8 weeks, the highs will be in the mid 70s, the low will be in the mid 50s on a continual basis. And so that makes me very happy. That means I get to sit in my backyard, listen to music, barbecue some food, and just kind of watch the world go by. So it's definitely one of my happier times of the year. Things are going well. I've got 18-year-old twin boys who are about to head off to college. So I did want to discuss payment for this podcast afterwards because goodness knows I need it. But to just kind of, watching the world go by feels like things are opening up, and I hope you guys are experiencing the same in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's been so nice. Like the weather has allowed me to be more outside. Like I've been gardening, and it's just been so great to have a break from, just moving like from one corner of your house to another, as I'm sure you guys know.
Oh yeah, we do road trips once a week to our dining room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I did a real road trip last week with the family, took them down to Florida. And I'll tell you something, anyone who says that driving 18 hours down to Florida with a 4-year-old in a car is relaxing, it's not. It's not. But look, the weather was nice down there. It was funny. We got warm weather in the beginning of the week, and then towards the end of the week, it was as cold down there. When I say cold, air quotes, it was like high in the 60s as it was up here in the Northeast. So, it was an interesting trip. We had a lot of fun though. It's nice to get out of the house.
Good you got out. I can tell you all sorts of real fun horror stories about traveling on road trips with twins when they were infants.
Oh my God. We'll save that one for another podcast. Anyway, we got a great topic today. We have brand activations and influencer marketing. So let's get right into it. Bill, you've been in the industry for 21 years. Is that correct?
Yep. My 21st year.
21st year. So why don't you tell us a little bit what inspired you to launch Brandivate last year in 2020?
I'm not that smart. No, my business partner, Kelsey Cunningham, and I, who we both worked at Promo Corner, she was the creative director there. I was president. We saw a gap in the industry when it came to marketing. It's really a lack of effective marketing and branding in our industry. There's very little elegance about the marketing in our industry. There's almost no storytelling. We always call it here at Brandivate, it's the ocean of obvious. And what it is, marketing for most suppliers is some variation of 6 to 7 products on a virtual 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that has micro font pricing codes attached to it, and let's send that to distributors and hope they actually show our product. And I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but that doesn't strike me as the most effective way to move merchandise. There's no why. And so looking at what was happening during the beginning stages of COVID, when so many people were making cuts in their organizations, generally one of the first cuts in any sort of recession is marketing. It's one of those weird, I think we might talk about this later. It's one of those weird things. It's hard to tie ROI to it. So it's very easy to say, that's just an expense. Let's go ahead and cut that off.
Right.
And because we saw that gap, we decided, we feel like we're dumb enough to think we know what we're doing. Let's go ahead and start a company in the middle of a pandemic because, why not? And I joke about that. And in retrospect, I think it was actually the best time to do it. We both do. Because again, we saw that gap and we were immediately able to hopefully establish credibility, establish expertise, and deliver on the promise of what we do here at Brandivate, which is innovate, elevate, and motivate. So we think we did that. So our goal is really, in what we want to do, what we saw the gap was help suppliers and distributors create the why. Why would someone buy a product from you as opposed to 27 of your other competitors who have either exactly the same product or essentially the same product? They're all coming from the same place in China. They might have a very little difference here and there, but on the distributor side, they're all the same products, right? If you're a distributor, or a supplier trying to sell to distributors, why would they buy it from you as opposed to somebody else? So what we really do is try to really communicate the story, communicate the why, so people actually create, we can drive some brand preference.
Right. So you guys started the business after the pandemic, correct?
Yes, the pandemic, what started, I guess, what's called March 20th ish.
Yep.
We started mid-July.
So you
Mid-July.
conceived it after the pandemic as well. It wasn't like you were working on it prior to the pandemic and the pandemic happened and you were just like,
No,
okay,
it was the pandemic definitely was a catalyst, no question.
right,
And then, as she was out of a job and I was unhappy in my position, and so it just, the more we started talking about it, I'd say we started conceiving it probably pretty early April. Just, okay, what would this look like? What services would we offer? Who would buy this? How do we create an experience that people would be willing to pay for again and again and again? So, knowing that we both had hopefully some credibility in the industry, you get one chance to really play that before you have to prove yourself.
right.
And so we were very cognizant of that and very careful with that.
And honestly, like your launch, like your activation for Brandivate was so cool to see. Like I give you guys nothing but props because like what a ballsy move, especially during a pandemic. Like it's hard enough to have the courage to go out on your own, but to do it under such, wild circumstances. I applaud you both. So I really wanted to talk about that, like your launch
Sure.
last year, because I feel like you utilized influencer marketing, social media, and user generated content to really create buzz and interest, which,
Mhm.
we want for brands because it leads to demand. So from the conception of what you guys wanted to do for this rollout and activation to the execution, can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. So, we wanted to do something, right? You want to create, like you said, you want to create that buzz, you want to create that splash. And how do you do that? And the first thing we thought of, we want to leverage promo to promote what we do as an industry. And we all joke about this. We are really good. And I was a distributor for 15 years before I was a service provider. We all are very good at telling our clients how to use promotional products to leverage their to support their goals, to achieve their what they want to achieve. We do a horrible job of using it ourselves, and so it becomes very tricky. How do you use promo to promote this launch of a company to a jaded audience? Right. We all remember the first time we walked into an ASI Orlando show or an ASI Chicago show, and you're just like, wow, this is amazing. And then 2 years later, seeing that, oh, that's the same thing as I saw last year with the blinky light. Yeah. And so we all get very jaded with that. So it became, so Kelsey and I started talking, and then we had a friend of ours who also contributed to it, Josh Robbins from Vault Promotions, who's here in Nashville, is a close friend of mine and Kelsey's. And so between the three of us, that I don't remember exactly how the conversation started, but it was, we need to have a week. We're going to call it Brandivate Week, and we need to create exclusivity. And how do we do that? And this was Josh's idea. I have to give Josh the credit for this, and is the Brandivate card. So he came up with an idea. What if we used membership cards? And so we decided to make metal membership cards. We identified about 30 influencers in the promotional products industry, your usual suspects. I mean that with all manner of love. Your Dana Zezos, your Charity Gibsons, Kirby Hasseman, Meg Herber, David Schultz, Kenny Ved, Charles Dugan, Brett Schaefer, Mandy Rudd, Roger Burnett, Mark Graham, Lori Eaton, and I go on. And we did a random wheel and gave everybody membership numbers. So I have my Brandivate card right here that I'm showing if you're watching on video, and I'm number 2. Yes, that's right. Kelsey is Brandivate number 1. I get reminded on a daily basis what my place is in this company. And we can't. So we want people to hold on to this. So on the back it says, the bearer of this card holds no ownership and retains no rights other than the sincere gratitude of the Brandivate managing partners for being a Brandivate. However, if you show this card to one of the managing partners is within 50 feet of a bar, there's a good chance they will purchase you an adult beverage with a cost not to exceed $9.50. And so we will go, and people have said, I've got my card, and we buy them a beer or buy them a drink. And so that became fun. And so what we decided to do is, let's make it a week. And we had to come up with products that were cost effective, because this, we did not call any supplier to say, will you give this for us for free? That felt wrong. I've always felt suppliers are wrongly funding the entire industry. And so I will never ask for a freebie. I just won't. And so we came up with, day one was the Brandivate card and a couple of Brandivate pens, writing utensils. Tuesday was t-shirts. Got to have a t-shirt, and it was just a nice SNS Activewear t-shirt, Bella Canvas t-shirt. And then Wednesday was we used can koozies, a metal can koozie that I'm holding right there. I actually have still one of everything. I have one of everything still. Thursday we use coasters, something to put your drinks on. I'm not holding. There we go, holding it sort of right. And then Friday was, because we do the Brandivate beverage of the week, we did logoed whiskey rocks.
Oh, nice.
And so we identified our people. We had everything shipped here to Nashville. I personally packed every single one, getting the shirt sizes right and everything else. And we came up with a small placard that basically told what we were doing. But what we did is we just gave suggestions. We told them what day we wanted them to use the product on social media, but whatever they did with it was completely up to them. And so that was all we expected. We hoped, okay, we'll drag this out for a week. It'll be fun. We'll get some fun out of it. I got to tell you, because we were purposefully vague, because we had a slight schedule, but more importantly, because we turned them loose, it was amazing. So on Monday, we had people drawing little pictures of our logo, or drawing pictures of me or Kelsey with the pens, and people getting upset. Well, why am I Brandivate number 21 and that person's number 16? So it became this weird competition. That took on a life of its own. And on Tuesday, everybody did wore the t-shirts. So that was kind of cool to see everybody wearing our t-shirts on Tuesday. Wednesday, it started really getting bizarre in a good way. When Brett Schaefer does a frame for frame version of Phoebe Cates getting out of the pool during Fast Times at Ridgemont High, holding the can cooler with the Cars song in the background, you're in for something. Danny Geiger. Exactly.
I love that. Oh, who doesn't love that scene? All right, that's great.
It's great. And then Danny Geiger used this can cooler and put a bottle of vodka on it and said, Bill and Kelsey, I think my can cooler's broken. Things like that. Then on Thursday, we use coasters. And I mean, it's not the most exciting product in the world, but A, again, we're a startup, we're on a budget, and B, it's light and mailable, right?
Yeah.
And people started making these great videos. And Josh Robbins did this awesome video of him trying to use a coaster, and he just called, this is really a shitty Frisbee. I want my money back. and just kept trying to throw it as a Frisbee. And then Friday was great. People used the whiskey rocks, and you had Meg Erber and Stephen McFadden and Charity Gibson do this almost like 3-screen pour of a drink across the country to toast us. You had David Schultz write in and perform an original song for Brandivate Week, where he kind of recapped everything that week. And so it took on this bizarre life of its own. We could never have expected that. But
So
it became, go ahead.
No, so you sent this out to all these, what'd you call them again?
Influencers.
Influencers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you let them know that you wanted them to use social media.
Yes.
To promote these products.
We provided a hashtag, use social media, however you want to do it. And honestly, I don't think we got any work done that week, because we wanted to make sure to keep up and engage. That's key. We wanted to engage and express our gratitude. But, Kelsey happened to actually travel from Houston. She's in Houston, and she came to Nashville that week as we launched. And we'd put down our phones for like half hour, and you'd pick up, and the notifications it was just a big ball of red all over the phone. And
right.
So it just was truly amazing. And so we then we decided we have to award some people things. We have to thank people. And so we picked the most creative thing, the most funniest thing, and we sent them from Office Space a swing line red stapler, because it just happened to be by my desk, and we thought it was funny. So
his name was Milton, right?
Milton.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So did you? That actor was actually really good. It's funny because he was, I forget his name, but that was the first time
yeah.
I'd ever seen him in anything.
Mhm.
And then when I saw him in other things, I said, "There's no way that's the same guy," but it was.
It
So
is the same guy.
yeah, he's awesome. So back to these products that you sent out. Did you send
Yep.
these out before the brand was actually out there? Did you announce
Yeah.
Brandivate yet?
So yeah, we did. So we launched, or we announced the launch on July the 6th
Okay.
in Brandivate, which was a Monday. And so again, I went to Texas A&M, so math is not my forte. But 2 weeks after that Monday, July the 11th,
The
whatever that
11th,
was,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know, July 16th. I think it was July 16th ish.
Yeah.
I don't know, July
10,
18th,
12,
19th,
something like
whatever it
that.
was. I don't know. 2 weeks later, that was when the launch week was to do Brandivate week. So we launched the company on the 6th. And then we sent out the boxes, and then made sure everybody got their boxes the Friday before Brandivate week. So if they had any questions or anything, and again, we tried to keep it pretty self-explanatory, but in the same moment, pretty vague, so people could have their own creative fun. And I got to tell you, we were blown away by it. We're going to do it again. We're planning on doing this every year, but it did get to a point where at the end of the week, we're like, man, I'm actually tired of seeing our
Nice.
logo.
So
Wondering if anybody else is at that fatigue.
let me ask you about, like, what was your expectation in terms of measuring the success of this campaign? Did you have metrics in mind, or were you just looking to get any type of buzz on social media? And which social network was the most used by the influencers?
Yeah, I had expectations that the Coens would reach out and make a big offer for Brandivate. That didn't happen.
Not yet, right?
Not yet. I'm just kidding. No, our expectations were we really wanted to make sure people knew what we were doing.
Right.
It's it was a very strange time. I mean, when you look at when we actually did the Brandivate week, it was the height of the pandemic. We're talking mid-July. And when we all look back, I think we'll all look at the summer. Nothing was really back to normal yet in terms of, you didn't have a lot of sports on TV. No one was going, everything was really shut down. There was no vaccine on the horizon. It was pretty bleak time, for lack of a better term. And so it was probably not the best time to launch, or maybe it was, I don't know. Our goal was, we need business. I mean, bottom line, we need to sell services. And so our goal was, get that out there for a week, and then hopefully, because it's really just an inbound marketing strategy when you really boil it down. And I can honestly say, we really, not only, the engagement, that all feels good and everybody loves you, and people are so wonderful in our industry. It's one of the reasons I love this industry. Everybody we selected just played along so wonderfully. But so we had all the clicks and the feel goods. We had all the non-traditional ROI. It felt great. But at some point, it's like, yeah, we need to do some work and make some money. And so very quickly, we started getting a lot of inbound inquiries due to the Brandivate launch, or the Brandivate launch week, I could say. And honestly, we've made it a product. So we're actually working with some companies now on launches they're doing. They want to mimic what we did. And so we've made it a product, which is a very difficult thing when you're a service provider, have something that's somewhat off the shelf. So the success, Vin, we didn't have to make one cold call to get business. We have not, there's two of us, and there's a lot to be done. There's a website, there's the content creation we always keep up with. There's the actual work that needs to be done. There's the planning of, how do we get more business? There's very little time to actually, who do I target? Because I think they need our help. And so I can tell you, all of our initial business came from a direct result of that launch. People saying, I saw what you guys did. That's amazing. That's one of the most creative uses of promotional products in our industry. And you did it within the world of promo. And so I'm honored by those type of accolades. So, I could say, like I said, all that business really came in as a direct result of our launch. And I don't mind saying that. I'm proud of that. As far as the social channel people engaged most on, it's the one we hate the most, Facebook, right? And because everybody lives there. It's
Yeah.
a drug. It's a drug. Everybody lives there. And then I'd say we saw quite a bit on Instagram, though, too. I'd say Instagram was a pretty close second, because we kind of suggested, hey, do some pictures with this, and here's a hashtag. It lends itself perfectly for Instagram. I don't know if we got any engagement on LinkedIn, or I don't know if anybody posted anything on LinkedIn or Twitter. But I do think there was also some things within the Common Skew social environment as well.
Sure.
I think honestly, like that's just so awesome to hear. But I wanted to kind of go back to you saying picking the
Mhm.
right people, because I think that's key
Mhm.
with something like this is the struggle for most people. I feel like when there's ever a PR box sent, any type of kit or anything where there's a CTA that you want somebody to engage with organically with your social, it's getting them to participate. So do you have any tips or tricks for vetting people that you would like to work with for maybe a similar campaign for our audience? Because I'm sure that would be really helpful for them.
Yeah, no question. I think you pick people who are you pick a couple different groups of people. You can pick the people who are active on social. That's the obvious one, right? The people who are on everything, they engage everywhere, they're visible. Those are the very easy ones to pick out. The person that always comes to mind when I say that is Charity Gibson, right? Charities everywhere. And I take it as a source of pride. Like when I can answer a question before she can in promotional products professionals, I feel like I've either done something really right or really wrong, but I've done it. But all kidding aside, she's everywhere. So she's a natural choice. And then you have, so you have a group of people like that. But then there's a group of people, maybe not as active on social, but they're fun and they're creative, whether people know it or not. And so you start looking at that group of people, your Brett Schaefer's. I don't think Brett people, maybe they do now. I'm friends with Brett. I've known Brett for years. I've known his dad for years. And Brett, I didn't think Brett would go full on Phoebe Cates for the launch, but I'm not surprised he did something out there and fun.
Right.
David Schultz falls in that category. David Schultz is an incredibly creative person, not the most active guy on social. And so I think he was actually out of town for a couple days that week. And that's fine, right? No harm, no foul. But then when he wrote an original song and put a video up for us, so you pick something like that. I think you really want to make sure you pick people who aren't afraid to embrace a little bit of silliness and a little bit of fun. And you want to pick people who don't like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest key. We intentionally decided we are not going to script this, because if we do, it's going to feel forced.
Right.
Everybody's going to do the same type of thing. And so we intentionally pick people who don't like to be told what to do, but also a little suggestions okay too. And what happens is and the last thing is pick people who are competitive. Right. We knew that right away when people were comparing the Brandivate card numbers and how some people were truly butthurt that they didn't get it, weren't number whatever. And so you'd see, well, if Brett Schaefer's going to do that, I'm going to do this. And if Josh Robbins is going to do, make a video about shitty Frisbees, then I'm writing a song or I'm going to do this. And so you pick those people. And what's also good is if they're somehow, the people you pick are somehow connected. So we have that as a very easy thing because it's, we're all connected by the promotional products industry, but a lot of those people know each other. They're either has served on Promo Kitchen together, or they've served on regional boards together, or they work in competing companies, but they collaborate. All those types of things. When you do things like that, it really kind of creates a magic. Now, it's one of those things. It's kind of like, baking a cake is chemistry. And if you ever watch like Chopped or anything like that, and I'm a big foodie, and so I watch those shows, I'm always amazed when they just start like throwing baking soda and baking powder in there and sugar, and they don't measure it. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and sometimes it won't work out. So there's a little bit of a chemistry experiment when you create the group of people. But my suggestions would be, people who are active on social, who are fun, who are creative, don't like to be told what to do, and that they're competitive, and keep it at a small amount. I wouldn't do any more than 25 to 30.
Okay.
Beyond that, it gets a little hairy.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, it sounds like a lot of thought went into this.
Mhm.
I want to talk about what you said about the numbers. Now,
Yeah.
you guys put those numbers on there knowing that there was going to be a competitive level there. Like what was the original intention of those
The original
numbers?
intention was, let's create some exclusivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's create a card, and it's metal.
Right.
So we want to create something that people would actually keep in their wallet. And that's why I have the call to action on the back. You show this to me at a trade show. If I'm walking ASI Chicago here in a few months, and you show me your Brandivate card, I am compelled to buy you an alcoholic beverage.
So
Right?
how do you determine the rank though? That's what where I'm at.
Okay. So we found a like Wheel of Fortune thing on the internet, and you put everybody's name in, and you spun it. And so Kelsey and I flipped a coin for who's number one and who's number two.
Gotcha.
She won the coin flip. And then after that, it was game on.
It was random generated. Okay.
Yeah. And the one thing we didn't anticipate, which I should have touched on earlier, is there were people who were upset and felt left out. Why wasn't I chosen to be part of this?
Where's mine? Where's my card?
Yeah.
No,
right.
I'm looking for my metal card.
It's
wait.
Over here.
There.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to do another launch. Like I said, second Brandivate week. Well, during the first one, when people were like, "Where's mine? Where's mine?" We very quickly, within an hour, I set up on our website a microsite, and because we had leftovers, we had leftover T-shirts, we had leftover can coolers, leftover things, and we had about 30 of them. Right. And so set it up saying, if you're interested, we would just send it directly to people. Go here, fill this out, get their name, their address, shirt size, and all that. And then we would send those out. Once that was exhausted, it was exhausted. So there are people who got Brandivate cards there. Now this year we're going to probably do another Brandivate card. It'll look different. It's not going to be the original. It has to look a little different, but it'll have the same little, show us this, and you'll get something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it'll be a drink. Maybe it'll be a bag of popcorn. I just don't know yet.
Yeah, those are collector's items now.
These are collector's items. It's like a rookie card. It's like a rookie card. But yeah, so we knew that there was going to be some people that were like, well, how come they're higher than me in that? I think the funniest one, again, we're human, we make mistakes. Both David Schultz and Brett Schaefer ended up with the same number. And, of course, I was mortified. How could that happen? I thought we went through this, but it's a spreadsheet. You keep looking at it over and over. Yeah. So they decided David would keep his number, and Brett got his number of choice. So Brett is now Brandivate number 69, and I will just leave it at that.
No judgment here. All right, so
none.
Next question. No judgment. And let's move on from that number 69, because we can go in different directions on that one. All right, so you're arguably, and I put that in air quotes because it's not definitive. You're arguably the king of content in this industry, right?
No.
Who came up with that? So what does inbound marketing mean to you, and have you always utilized it in your business strategy?
Yeah, I'd say the king of content's Kirby. He's my partner on Promo Upfront. I
pounds out the content. Yes,
he does, and it's something I admire in Kirby. He's dedicated to it. He's the king of content. I'm probably the colonel of consistency.
The colonel.
I'll take that.
I'll take that.
I'll be the colonel of consistency. Kirby's really the king of content. I'm just here to ride his coattails. Inbound marketing. So yeah, what it means to me is it's a sales process whereby I'm not selling, right? And so, like I mentioned earlier, there's only two of us, and there's only so many hours in the day, and she's busy with her family. Kelsey is. I'm busy with my family and other things. So there's only so many hours in the day to get work done, and sales has to be part of that work. That we have to have a pipeline of potential clients. But we knew that for this to work, we would need our inbound marketing strategy to really crush it for us. And that was part of the Brandivate Week launch. What we love about inbound marketing and the way it's worked for us, it allows people to get about 75% through the sales funnel before they even contact us. And I'm fine with that. It allows people to know who we are. They get some sense of our culture because of the type of content we share. Hopefully it allows us to establish expertise, and we can share the results of the work we do in the form of testimonials. And so by sharing all that and being transparent. So to me, being inbound marketing is a very transparent marketing effort. It's not to look at me, to me, inbound marketing is really hand in hand with content marketing. It's giving first, it's sharing those things. And I think we'll talk about that, but it's that 80-20 rule of giving more than you ask. So 80% of the time, the whole Gary Vaynerchuk rule of thumb, it's jab, 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 punch, give, 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 ask. And that's really the way our marketing has worked. And so we publish a blog every Monday. That hopefully inspires some people or educates people or maybe sometimes entertains people. On Tuesdays, we've done this thing called T-shirt Tuesday. It's the most iconic promotional product out there, and it should have won the whole Final Four thing. We got to talk about that. I got a real big problem with the seating there. I got a huge problem with that. I talked to Michelle Bell about that, and she knows I am hot under the fake basketball collar about that whole thing. Rigged, fake contest, fake news, fake all.
T-shirts. I know. What were they? 9? What was the? I forget.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. But we do T-shirt Tuesday. On Wednesdays, what we've traditionally done, that's been our Ask Day. We just started something a few weeks ago. It was Kelsey's brainchild called Wondering Wednesday. Wondering whatever happened to the weird products we grew up with. And I think last week was the first one, the first one was Jolt Cola, I think. Mm-hmm. And then most recently we did, remember Freshen Up gum where you bite and squeeze. Yeah, but you remember they had the weird ones with Dr. Pepper and 7 Up. I was wondering what happened to those. So it usually is revolved around food. I think we did Franken stuff. Melissa's way too young to remember Franken stuff. It's a hot dog stuffed with chili.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just as bad as thing. And then on Thursdays we do a 10-song collaborative playlist. And we invite people to add, hey, what I think last week or this week as we're recording, it's songs about spring. So we have 10, I pick 5 songs, Kelsey picks 5 songs, and we invite everybody to jump along. We did one that was cover songs, which was amazing. I think we ended up being like 150 songs on there. People added, which was fun. And then Friday we drop the Promo Up Front podcast with me and Kirby, and then the Brandivate Beverage of the Week, which I've been doing for about 6 years now, every Friday at 4:30 Eastern. So, all that content marketing is inbound marketing. All that stuff is what we're talking about. And every piece of business we have, every single one is a direct result of our inbound marketing. I don't know any other organization that can say that.
You're the king of content. I don't know, Kirby.
No,
I'm the kernel of consistency.
So cool. And I wanted to actually kind of dive into that like a little bit more in depth, because I feel like honestly, and me being in this industry for a year and speaking to multiple promotional products professional, you're the only one that I've been able to, hear kind of a direct ROI. So for you at Brandivate, how are you and Kelsey measuring, the success or the ROI for your content and inbound marketing strategy?
Yeah, it's hard. I'll be honest with you. I'm human. So it's really hard not to chase likes and comments. So, you sometimes you throw things out there and it's met with a collective yawn from your target audience. And that stinks sometimes. But I'm a big believer if one person comments, 10 people are thinking the same thing. And so I try to keep that in mind and not chase that dopamine rush of, wow, people like my stuff, because I'm human and that does happen. It's really the continual activity on the sales end that shows the ROI, the podcast and the blog. Our largest client, it's had a huge impact, a huge impact. Our largest client right now, when they came to us, they called us and said, I'm calling because I really like what you have to say on the Promo Up Front podcast with Kirby. Our largest quote that we have out there, and fingers crossed, maybe we land this is from outside the industry as well. And it could be a huge client for us. It's a result of our daily content marketing. T-shirt Tuesday, Wondering Wednesday, the Beverage of the Week stuff. So like I said, that the impact, 100% of our business comes from it. We are averaging right now 2 to 3 new business opportunities a week of people reaching out to us. That is I'd say our conversion rate's probably around 33 to 40%. So pretty good conversion rate.
Yep.
And I don't know what other ROI honestly matters. So I don't have a big enough ego. I don't care. Of course, I'd love people to listen to the podcast and read what I write and all that, and, engage with our social postings. But at the end of the day, if we're not actually getting people to come in to at least listen to our sales pitch, and see where we can possibly help them, and then actually do the work for them that matters, because that's very important to us. I don't know what else, what other ROI really matters.
And I mean, going off that, I wanted to ask because I feel like you jumped on a trend before it became popular in our industry, just from,
Mhm.
some of the things that I've seen you talk about in the start of your career. How has embracing content marketing and inbound marketing strategy affected maybe the traditional sales process that you
Yeah.
use? Like, what tactics have you scaled back on, or what do you still use? Or is it all just content and inbound?
It's mostly content inbound, because I found that's what works. So, when I was a consultant before I went to Promo Corner, I used content marketing because I had been in the industry 15 years. I knew people, but people didn't know me. I didn't have a name. I didn't have any sort of established expertise. Didn't make me smarter or dumber than I was the day before. But I made a decision to, I'm going to start putting my thoughts out there. Those conversations we all have in the corner of the bar about, hey, suppliers really get ripped off in our industry, and distributors really need to realize they're working on very thin margins, and that they don't have just a ton of money just to spend on everything like everybody thinks they do. Things like that. And I started putting those thoughts out there, and it is immediately, I found an audience that was eager to hear what I'd say. Well, I think Dana Zezzo said to me once, he goes, what people like about you? And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to hear this at all. And he said, you're willing to say what everybody else is thinking. And I'm like, I kind of like that. And
That's
I
cool.
do. You get to a certain age and you get enough of a, I don't care in my back pocket. I don't care. There's right and wrong in my mind, and there's good and bad, and I'm okay talking about those things. And so how it's evolved over time, there was a time I wrote 2 blogs a week. And for me, and I tend to write in-depth blog. I love to write. Writing's always been cathartic for me. And so sometimes it takes me a long time to write a blog. It takes someone 3 minutes to read it, or 2 minutes to read half of it and decide it stinks or whatever. But it takes me sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours to do it, because I want it right. Words matter. I'm very particular about the words I use and the context they're used in. And so I've had to scale back on that, just because it's just from a time perspective.
Right.
Yeah, Bill,
So
I've read a lot of your stuff, and I'm not trying to, shower you with compliments, but you're a really good writer. Do you have a background in
thank
writing?
you. No, thank you. That's a very lovely compliment, Vin.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm a huge admirer of what you all do at ASI and the things you guys do. I'm an enormous fan of the editorial department at ASI and all of ASI. And that's not me sucking up either. Although Brandivate, could be had for a good price. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't have a background in writing. I've always just enjoyed writing, and I write for me. I've dabbled with, okay, maybe I should write a book. People have been after me to write a book, but I don't know what it'd be about. I feel like I'd just be taking a bunch of blogs and
Sure.
stapling them together and saying, "Hey, here's my book." But I just find writing to be that real catharsis for me. It's something
Sure.
I can control. It's not a conversation. I get to control the narrative, which way it goes, how I want it to, how I want it to end, and all that stuff. So no, it's just something, God-given gift, and I'm so thankful that I have it. As Kelsey will always say, "All right, word guy, let's go. Write something. Need something here when we're working on client projects."
That's really awesome. May I ask you, because you
Yeah.
are so prolific in the amount of content
Yeah.
that you create, is there any channel or, any type of new or traditional media that you just haven't had the chance yet because you're one person to dive into yet, or you have your sights maybe set on for the future as you scale your company?
Yeah, I want to do something in video, some sort of quick hit, 1 minute, 2 minute video thing, maybe every other week, and I just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Not because it's not out of laziness. I'm a serial doer. It's more of, I just haven't found really where I want that to live. Obviously on Brandivate, but I don't know how I'd want to do it, so it's different than what other people are doing. Kirby does a Monday Minute for Promo Corner every Monday, and I want it to be different than that. And I've talked to him about it. I'm like, does this feel different to you? Because I don't. And he's thinks it does. I'm not sure, and so I'd like to do more in video. I mainly because it's more consumable. not everybody wants to read the dronings of Bill, and I understand that. Not everybody wants to listen to Kirby and I banter back and forth on our podcast. Not everybody wants to listen to Kelsey and I on our podcast, because we have a podcast we do on occasion called the What the Hell Are We Doing podcast, where we talk very transparently what it's like to run a business right now, and we're figuring it out as we go. So I do think there needs to be a different piece of content out there, but right now it's time, and I just haven't figured out exactly what it's going to be. Although I'm very interested in holograms. I'd like to do something in
Yes,
holograms.
do it.
You'd probably
Kinda
be
like
the
this-
first, Bill.
Uh, I'd be the first and worst to
Yeah,
do
well,
the holograms,
and the best if you look at it that way.
First and only.
All right, Bill. So we're almost out of time. My son, who's home because we took him to Disney last week and he's quarantined. So we got a house full of kids. They're all like quieter than they've ever been for the last hour. So let's wrap this up.
Okay.
The fun question. You're a big Van Halen fan, like myself.
I am.
See the Eddie Van Halen guitar right behind you there. So I'm gonna hit you with 3 quick questions.
I am giddy with anticipation. I'm like a Girl Scout on Cookie Sunday. Let's go.
Awesome. And Melissa, you can chime in as well.
Okay.
David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
Yes. I am lead singer agnostic when it comes to Van Halen, although we won't talk about the Gary Cherone era. Both it's
Gary Cherone.
So here's the deal. Van, as you well know, Van Halen with David Lee Roth and Van Halen with Sammy Hagar are 2 radically different bands. They really, really are.
I agree.
A lot of people like to blame Sammy Hagar for the keyboard introductions and all that. Eddie was going that way anyway.
Yeah,
he was.
I agree.
I mean, I'd say these days, I have a soft spot in my heart for Sammy. I've seen Van Halen with Sammy Hagar more times than I have with David Lee Roth. But I still think there's something so magical about the friction and disharmony in that David Lee Roth fronted band that resulted in such a creative powerhouse. I mean, those albums, those first 4 albums, or first 6 albums, I should say, hold up today. You listen to Van Halen 1 today, it sounds just as fresh as it did then. If you listen to 5150 today, great album, but man, does it smell like my parents' carpet from the 80s. So unfortunately, sometimes the production of the songs suffer.
I agree. I'm a David Lee Roth guy. I don't dislike Sammy Hagar. I think Sammy Hagar is a better singer, but you're right. There was something about David Lee Roth and the chemistry or lack thereof in the band, because there was a lot of tension in that band, and it created a lot of friction. It created a lot of media. But also, those albums with David Lee Roth, all of them are really, really good. Okay.
They're untouchable.
So David Lee Roth all day, just because I'm somebody who I like the performance aspect, and I've seen like Sammy like live on video and stuff like that. I just don't see like the acrobatics, the like I think for a frontman, you have to have like a certain type of mojo, and like David did that for me. So like I listened to their early albums, I've heard stuff from Sammy. I just don't kind of like his voice personally. You know what I mean?
That.
Like
yeah, it's a bit caustic.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me more like of light heavy metal, like that late 80s, early 90s, when like people were trying to be like grunge but metal, but like your mom could listen to it. You know what I mean?
like hair metal.
Yeah,
like hair metal, like almost like commercial metal.
Yeah,
and you make a good point. Let's the reality is David Lee Roth was a terrible singer. He was a showman. He was a front
showman, totally.
And Sammy Hagar is a musician, and his voice can be a little like a cheese grater on a spinal cord at times. No question about it.
Yep, totally. All right, next one. I know, wrapping up. I hear my son running around going crazy. All right, favorite Van Halen album?
Fair Warning, no question. Can't beat it. Yeah, I love Fair Warning. Again, it's right at Eddie and Dave were about to break up. They didn't. And actually Kiss called. This is a pretty famous story. Gene Simmons from Kiss called and tried to get Eddie Van Halen into Kiss to replace Ace Frehley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and he considered it, from what I understand. But yeah, there's something about the songs on Fair Warning, Unchained, Hear About It Later, Dirty Movies, Mean Street. That's just it's Eddie at his creative peak. It's Dave at his best, and everybody's pissed off at each other. I love that album.
Great album. But I go with I'm a purist. I love the first album, arguably the greatest
Right
first
there.
album rock history. I will say that from A to Z on that album. I mean, Running with the Devil, Eruption, You Really Got Me.
Mhm.
I mean, the whole album is amazing.
It is.
And I can listen to that over and over and over.
No question.
And like you said, it sounds as fresh today as it did in 1978.
You bet.
Melissa.
So since I'm a little younger than everybody on this podcast, I'm from the generation
A lot younger.
A lot younger.
From the generation where we consume music by singles. So I feel like my introduction to them was like through my dad, because after he would get tired of Radio Disney for an hour and hearing like the hamster song, he'd be like, all right, that's enough of this crap. We're going to put on real music. So he would like make me listen to Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones and Van Halen. So it's like I would hear those top 40. So like right now, I just discovered like Ice Cream Man, and that like acoustic intro, like dear, dear, dear. And then like when Eddie like lights up his electric guitar, it's so good. But I love Dance the Night Away, like being on a back
Great song
with your friends, like sipping alcohol, trading stories and stuff. Like that's just such a cool, chill song. So I can't name an album, but I'll definitely check out your recommendations though. That's for sure.
Well, it sounds like you've got some songs that you know, Melissa. So my final question is favorite Van Halen song.
So I had an idea this was coming, and I'm going to do it by era. My favorite David Lee Roth era song is Unchained. To me, that is the epitome of Van Halen. It's the perfect mix of Eddie's musical virtuosity and David's buffoonery that works perfectly in a song. From the Sammy Hagar years, it's got to be Humans Being, which is the last song they recorded before they broke up. And again, that friction within the band, it adds a ferocity to Eddie's playing that just can't be beat. And from the Gary Sharon era, I wouldn't know any of those songs. No, it would have to be Without You. It's a decent song, but it's about all I can take from that album.
Like,
or Gary
by
Sharon.
By all accounts, Gary Sharon's a nice guy, but you can't strike lightning 3 times. It's hard enough to do it twice. And
right. I mean, he was good in Extreme. He was very Extreme good for a while. And he was cherry picked by Van Halen, and I'm telling you, those are some big shoes to fill. All right, my favorite song. This was so hard for me. I mean, there's so many great songs. I had Everybody Wants. I mean, I had a list, and I was like, you know what? Little Guitars is a song that I absolutely love. Off of Diver Down. I mean, it is a tremendous song, and the Little Guitars intro, and then it goes into it's almost like
drum beat,
the drum beat, and it's like a deviation from a normal Van Halen song, and it's just so refreshing, and it just stands up. And anytime I hear it, and you don't hear it on radio, you never hear it on radio. I just have it on my, I have my DVDs, my CDs and vinyl, and I just put it on. I'm just taken away to a time growing. I feel like I'm in the 80s again.
I get that.
Such a great song.
That's a great song. It's a great song. Good choice. Melissa, what about you?
So because I love the video, it like is the pinnacle of like 1980s like MTV, I feel like, and it's Hot for Teacher, just because I feel like it always makes me laugh. And then I feel like like it just like it's so catchy, that hook, that I can just play that all the time. And then when that video comes on, like if I'll see it, I stop and watch it because it's just so silly.
I wonder what those kids are doing these days,
right?
I have no idea.
All those kids
sit down, Waldo.
All the little miniature kids that were representing the band. I mean, they're probably in their 40s now. How crazy is that?
They're probably in rehab.
An article with them.
I wanted to be mini Eddie Van Halen so bad.
Yeah.
So
did you have the mullet?
That's a personal question. Yes, I did. I had a glorious mullet.
I'm working on one now.
A glorious mullet that went down to my shoulders, and I would wear parachute pants.
Oh, I had those.
And a pink Oxford t-shirt with a square knit tie, kind of loose, because that's the way the ladies liked it back then.
There you go.
You got to send us. Like, I need to see this now.
I have no physical evidence of this. I do actually, and I'm not sending it.
All right, Bill. Well, you've been an awesome guest today. We could talk forever about pop
Yeah.
culture and Van Halen, but do you have any final thoughts before we part today? Give a
The only thing
pitch.
I'm gonna give. I'm not even gonna give a pitch. I'm just gonna say if there's something that scares you, and you want to do it, push past the fear and do it. Every good thing I've ever done has been a result of me telling the inner voice in my head that I'm not good enough, that I'm not smart enough, that no one's going to like it, telling that voice to shut up. That was whether that's putting content out there, which is scary, putting my own thoughts out there, whether it's putting my personal writings out there, which I've done many times, whether it's starting a business. Push past that fear because everybody has got something magical inside them that the world is just waiting to embrace. Push past that fear and you'll be a lot happier for it.
Well said, Bill.
Yeah, thank you
Well
so much
said.
for your time. This was awesome. Hopefully, we'll get to see you in person soon.
I hope so. I'll be at the next. I think might be at ASI Chicago, but I don't know who's going to be there, so we'll see.
We will. So
Awesome.
All right, Bill.
Well,
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today. Take care.
Thank you guys. You guys are great. Thank you.